So we start by opening up this 2D, and you may not, I don't know if you can see that, which was up there. You see it's got a, name of it is Demos 2D Directory 3D Simulation. So we're going to go ahead and call that clone project a new name, and we just call 3D or 2D in 3D. We're hoping, by the end of the year, first part of next year, of finally getting 3 and 4 and more vehicles in 3D, so you can run all in both 2D and 3D. So now we have a new project, and again, I think on the top there it's blocked by the thing that this. Let me see if I can move this out of here. No, doesn't want to. Certainly don't want to let you move things. There we go. Okay. Now you can see on the top there. On the top, you see that it, of course, gives you the version. And normally, the version is just the date and time of when we last did it, at least for mEdit. And the other ones, it gives you, or up here, if you ever want to know what version, tells you up here. For the graphics is where we have the 3.22, and the next one's going to be or 2.30, I think it is. But so now it's called 2D and 3D. And when we go to try to run a 3D simulation, I guess a couple things that you want to check and make sure you have in your file is one, on vehicle or card number 1, you want to set this to a 3, because that's how many vehicles you have. Then vehicle 3 is cards 52. You notice here vehicle 3 positions, vehicle 3 orientation, forks, etc. I believe I showed this yesterday that in the help file, again, if I hit F1 on any card, this should bring up for that card 58, but then you look in the third vehicle option in our help file, which again, this is also available from the help menu. Cards required, you see 52, 54, 56, 58. And those are the cards that are needed to include the third vehicle in the msmac2D program. And those are really just the same as the cards for the vehicle 1, vehicle 2. And again, I call them cards. My apologies for, especially for your younger ones. That's old school back in the timeshare days, where we used to actually use punch cards. Optional collision properties, which is the same as card 13, is on 98. And now when we go, and so you want to make sure those are all in there and that a 3 is set up here. So then when you go to run a 2D simulation, I guess, first thing I wanted to show you is when you run a 3D simulation now, it's going to give you, it's still going to give you that. So I guess it'll work either way. When you try to run it, it's going to tell you that only 2 vehicles will work in 3D at this point. We're going there. Now, this is where you can pick the kind of cars that you have, what are the models, and it's, you've already got your specs in here if you're just upgrading. Obviously, if you don't, then you're going to grab, and we can go ahead and change. We're going to just go ahead and put a Mustang as the first one, and we'll make a, I'm at a 96, what do I have, a 12 Mustang, 96 Caravan, and now the upgrade is probably going to have in here vehicle 3 too. And I guess someone was asking, would the third vehicle also tractors with trailers? The cards, the 52 through 58 aren't required for tractors with trailers. It's 20 through 24. I guess I should do one with a tractor trailer next, and if we have time, I'll do that today, or else I'll do that for the next one. Because that's very similar. It's just it's a different card factor for it. So now we go ahead and we pick those 2, and then when it comes into vehicle, when it goes into the simulation, it'll because we hadn't put in a vehicle 3 yet, it'll ask you for a vehicle 3, so we can go with a 2007 Honda Civic. Now, I guess at some point it was supposed to tell you that rerun because it's in 3D it only runs 2, so you want to run that in 2D. And I guess I see we had the one missing card. This is another thing that's going to be in there. And this is good. I'm glad this did this because if you look and you say, my goodness, that's a strange looking car. What is missing is in this input deck, definition of the cards for vehicles 3 and 4 are on. You notice 81 down here, and let's hit that one on that. 81 is for the bumper, CG height, overall height for vehicle 1 and 2. The 81/1, if you go into here and we say insert card with helper, and I'm going to add that to the help file too. 81/1 is for vehicles 3 and 4. So we click on that. And then the same for 83/1. So now here we just put in 15. I'm going to go ahead and grab the specs on these. They're not going to look right until we grab the specs, but I'm just going to put in what's on the card above it. And then one other point, I've made this before, is if you have, it's not a rollover, and this isn't, it'll run faster if you put a 0 in for the node, which is fields 7 and 8. The node friction, that's only needed if you have a situation where it rolls. And even if you don't know if it's going to roll or not, putting in a 0, things run faster. Once it gets to above 40 degrees of roll, it will give you a message that you need to change that and then start simulating with the nodes for handling rollover. So now if we run the 2D, again, all I did is I inserted the 81, and I'm going to make sure that's in the input. And I think it is. I inserted 81-1 and 83-1. So now we'll go rerun it. It's now the car, but of course, obviously, person told that I got rid of that message and I should have had it there. So there's no ground on here. So let's bring in a ground. Go to msmac images. It'll just tell you there's no ground if you have all gray. We can just bring in a, I got to get some more out here. I will put more, but obviously you can go and you can go out to Google. We could use Google too to bring it in, or you can go out yourself. Any bitmap works. And when you're bringing in, we mentioned this yesterday, but I guess the more times you hear things, the better. In settings, you go to ground. Right now, I've set mine to 11,000 pixels. The default is 4,000. If you have a file that won't come in, you can go out here and change it to a larger size. We just have the default at 4. I've changed mine to 11. But now the other thing we have to do is, obviously these cars aren't on the right position for the roadway. So we'll go ahead and click on the image here. And maybe it's 90 degrees. I guess I haven't scaled it either. So let's scale it to 4. Again, you set the scale on your image that you bring in. And again, you should have something where you actually know, but I'll put 22 feet for that. Down here on the bottom, 22 feet. Okay, and now we go to overhead so we can see if we want to move this up 20. That's the wrong way, so we'll go minus 25. And maybe minus 19. At least it's on the roadway. Now, as I mentioned, this one's a Mustang. So if you go, you just click on the car, you click on the vehicle specs, and go Mustang. And we'll go with the 2010. I think it's a 12, but now I'm going to go, this is a Caravan. And that was a 96 Caravan. Okay, so go with the 94. And then this was a Civic, 2007 Civic. And we go down, find 2007. like a four-door. Let me find a four-door 2007. That is 2008. Close enough. Now we'll rerun this. It should fix that wheel. You notice it looks kind of strange, the wheel. There you go. Now everything seems to be matching. Let's go. Let's just say we want to do a movie of this. Very simple. Go out here. We say delete to get rid of all that other stuff. We say write. And we click on the beta movie, right movie. We call it 3 vehicle test. And if we go out to movies, let's see, msmac2D. And again, you can put these in any directory. And then here's our movies. You notice there's test movie. What is it? 3 vehicle, 3 V's. I'll be. Where did I save it? Well, we go back and we say, where did I save that? It's quick enough that we say, save it to the images file. All right. We can go out there. We can redo it, but I'll just go. So they go out now to msmac2D images. So last, as most Windows things are, say, the last directory because it doesn't know where you. Here's the 3 vehicle test, and there's your video. Now this one is a 3D simulation. Someone's asking whether or not this is a 2D or 3D, and this is a 3D simulation. If I run the 2D, what will happen? Run 3D simulation. It's 2D simulation. I'm sorry, I hope I said that. Let's get rid of this for a minute. Get rid of that. Close that. Now, if you run 3D, you're going to see what happens. First, it's going to give you a message saying only 2 vehicles work in 3D at this time. We're going to have more soon. So you can run in 2D, but we can run in 3D, and you're going to see the one vehicle is going to read the time history tape from the prior run. So you'll see the 2 of them that are in 3D, which is vehicle 1, vehicle 2, and vehicle 3 doesn't see anything. So that's, again, obviously, if you have a situation where we're working on right now also being able to, multiple simulation show where you basically can pull a car from another simulation and bring it into this one. Also, of course, obviously, for these vehicles, if you have a scan vehicle and you can save it as DXF, you can use a scan vehicle too. And we're considering, in addition to sometimes, I guess that's one thing that's come up in the recent past, is sometimes with collisions, like if I make this a little larger and I'll leave it to 3 vehicles and see if we make these speeds a little higher, the damage can get, right now it's set up for really only handling a single damage zone as a result of an impact. So when you have like side slap sometimes, and then, or if you have where there's 2 vehicles and you interact, it may have a strange looking damage because of the fact that the logic isn't set up for that in the graphics display. You can always go out to, let me run this as 2D again. You can always go out and just show you how you can look at the 3 vehicles. This is again is the 2D in the 3D graphics. But all of these, you can always go back out to for those of you that are former 2D users, you can always go out and run the graphics. Well, you're supposed to be able to do that. I guess I got to find out. It must be this will show you, there's a glitch in that. And some of these 3 vehicle runs, there's a glitch. I'll fix that and put a note on that, 3D. But the way that this is supposed to work, and it has been working, but recently I think when I added in the elevation for the 2D, something like that, there's something that's got to be handed. I had mentioned earlier that in the 3D graphics, that the elevation for vehicle number 3 was not being properly set, and there must be a change to field that now is messing up on the 2D graphics. But the way it's supposed to work is that you can run all of these in the 2D graphics, and that will show you the damage, predicted damage, etc. And this, in the event you come into a situation where it's a bad damage appearance, you can always, of course, not show damage on each or any of the vehicles, and or you send it to us, and then that's how we're starting to look at different ones to come up with a better logic. Basically, it's going to be all right, multiple damage tables showing here's, the 1, 2, or 3 damage zones, and then we cut and paste the actual DXF. Frankly, someone's confused, so we can now just turn over. Right, in 3D, you currently can only simulate 2 vehicles. You can simulate 3 vehicles if we wanted to bring in, of course, our animulated, that's a simulation.